If you're anything like me, you crave nuanced information from specialists in their field that have proven track records. So I'm going to give it to you. It's Sunday morning. Let's go to fucking church. In regards to health insurance and United Healthcare, the first few years I was like a captive agent and I couldn't do what I wanted. As I progressed in my career, I wanted to represent multiple carriers. And since nobody knew anything about major medical health insurance, I figured I'd try to fucking crack the code on it. It's proved to be a little bit harder than I thought. There's a lot of power structures in place that it doesn't matter what little old Ethan does. They're gonna do what the fuck they want, especially if the people don't know about it, or especially if the government doesn't hold them accountable. Now, I'll tell you one thing. United Healthcare has always been very professional. They have a great tech platform. And honestly, I've always gotten what I wanted whenever I reached out to them, if it was within reason. If I was on the right side of history or the right side of the situation or the right side of the law, they respected that and they investigated things and they turned things around. And there's a lot of people there that have worked for decades, and I know that those people that I spoke with were empaths and good people over the phone. I'm a pretty good judge of character. And what I noticed was United Health One, the individual company that's owned by United Healthcare, the parent company, they were very respectful, offered products as an alternative to the Affordable Care Act, and then also United Healthcare parent company offers Affordable Care Act plans. So they have something for the, rich, healthy people, and they have something for the people who have heavy pre-existing conditions or, lower income. I've seen them service Medicaid. I've seen them service Medicare, and Medicare and the government forces these private companies to at least cover pre-existing conditions. If you want to take a bunch of information from decades ago and use that now, times have changed. There's no really underwritten plans that, in my eyes, are credible coverage these days. And which brings me to my point. I noticed a shift in United Health Group when they bought a certain company that offers an indemnity plan that denies like 40% of their applicants for pre-existing conditions. And they have caps all over their plans. And I always come up against it because they're always like, we offer PPO, national coverage, and like they're kind of just acting as a contrarian, and they expect people not to really read the exclusions or the terms and conditions and that sort of thing. And I always urge folks to read on whatever policy you buy. Make sure you know the agent that you're working with. Make sure that they have some background and credibility. And then also read for yourself the exclusions page. It'll tell you everything you need to know, because these companies act legally. They know that they have to act legally. Now, the government passed a law years ago that indemnity plans are legal. So what I see this indemnity company doing is selling these indemnity plans with like a critical illness rider and some, legalese word salad at the end, saying that you may have an SEP at the end of it if you exhaust your, benefits due to, dread illness or something. I don't know. When it gets all wordy like that, I'm like, fuck no, I don't care how much you're paying me. I ain't gonna fucking sell that trash. So when Obamacare or the ACA, Patient Protection Affordable Care Act, rolled out in 2013 and implemented in 2014, I put my shoulder into it with a lot of other agents, and it was really a lot of growing pains and pretty stressful, 4-hour applications sometimes. But I got feedback from all these customers like, I can walk again, or this drug that I really need is covered, and or I got this surgery that I've always needed. And so that gave me the confidence to keep going. I was like, fuck, I'm not getting paid very much for this because nobody wants to pay you on these plans because they have no fucking cap and it's brand new. And everybody was like Republican business, pro-business, detracting away from, Obamacare. Black president implemented their own healthcare policy basically. And they still just hated him for it. But I was like, okay, I like Barack Obama. I like helping people in lower socioeconomic classes. I want to get people covered. I would like a single payer system in the future or universal health care, but that's not reality right now. We live in a society that's run by corporations, and they're going to be driven by profit. A lot of people want to get paid a lot of money. They think they have these overinflated egos. So I knew what I was up against, but everybody was making fun of me at this health insurance agency that I was selling these Obamacare plans at, first of all. So, I knew I was on the right track. And especially these types of guys, they're like MAGA, just dickheads. And so they're like, you're selling a lot of metal, Ethan. Yeah, selling a lot of bronze, silver, and gold plans, particularly the silver plans that have cost sharing reductions because it brings down the max out of pocket and deductible and copays for lower income folks that are, a certain level of income with a certain household size. And so I put my back into it. We sold a bunch, helped a lot of people, and eventually we started getting some pay for that. And I was like, okay, yeah, I can do this, it's a volume game, let's fucking go. And then in addition to that, I was selling other lines and I was getting good and some confidence, expanding my footprint. So my income started to rise. And then I started to, teach people what I had done and build a team. And then they started, doing the same thing I was doing in the same method. And, built a team of people and we were making an impact. We were selling a lot of plans the way they should be, plans that will help folks. And low commission, products that are, they're forced to have protection from the government. And so they fall in line with the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act or, with CMS and Medicare. And, I wasn't hearing a peep out of anybody. Everybody was getting their claims covered. If I ever had an appeal, we would win on those types of plans. And it was a safe environment for the consumer. Relatively, compared to what we had been used to in the underwritten world before Obamacare. And that's what I was alluding to at the beginning, is that these people from this old guard, they want to have high commission on fully underwritten plans, and they want to kind of pick and choose who they want to cover. And I feel like that's elitist because they're just going after people with money and who are healthy. They don't want to buy any claims. They don't really want to pay any claims. Those are the type of insurance companies that I detest, just like you guys, okay? So I never sold those indemnity plans, even though people were always trying. There's an army of agents trying to sell that shit. Usually it was a revolving door of new agents. They would try for 6 months, get some advances, realize that they're in a Ponzi scheme, in my opinion, and they'd go to the wayside. Or it would attract these criminals that are like, fuck yeah, this is the way I get paid, I'll say whatever the fuck I want to these people. And they live in, Delulu land, and I would say that those are the MAGA type, the folks with Dunning-Kruger, or the folks with Stockholm Syndrome. And I'm not saying that I haven't fallen victim to that. I think I've broken through a lot of that, and I'm still working on it because education is a constant battle, basically. So, but what I found about United Healthcare is that similarly with the government and with these companies, there's good people in these huge corporations, and then there's not so good people. And for whatever reason, the higher ups at United Health Group bought this indemnity provider who's high commission. They decline people. They have caps. They're not ACA. They'll try to throw in like a mech rider to make it compliant, but it's not compliant. It's not credible coverage. And I try to tell these people who try to get me to sell it all the time, you're not selling credible coverage, and it's not even major medical. And they're like, no, we have like these self-funded group plans that are considered major medical. I'm like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about these individual plans that you're trying to sell people that are fully underwritten. And I've had to take calls where customers on the weekend are freaking out because their daughter has brain cancer and need surgery, and they were on that plan because they were MAGA and they were right wing and they got sold the bill of goods because it was PPO and lower cost and all this shit. And when it came time to go to war with that plan, it failed them. That pediatric cancer case that I'm talking about hit a cap on that indemnity plan, and they weren't going to get their brain surgery covered. So I moved mountains and I changed everything for my schedule that weekend, and I scrambled to get a small group policy together under United Healthcare for that family. And I have multiple stories like this. This is the one that would just grab your attention the most, so I'm using this. But we ended up getting the effective date. We got the company together. It was just a small family company with a handful of employees, and we got her covered as a dependent, and then she got her surgery, and she's okay now. But I had to up in my life for 48, 72 hours to get this in action, because this company, now most people may go, healthy, and they may not go to the doctor and they may never use it. So to them, they think it's a good plan because they're saving some money, and they were told that it was PPO, but it's just an indemnity plan. And it's got these caps on it. So worst case scenario, I wouldn't want to sell it to my family members or friends, and it's so wild that United Healthcare ended up buying this same indemnity plan years later, and now they own it. And when I saw that, I don't know when it was, a couple years ago, I was like, that's a red flag, raised my eyebrow to it, and I was very concerned. And now fast forward, I realized that a lot of these multinational corporations have their claws in these big insurance companies, and I figured maybe they influenced this insurance company, this credible insurance company that I work with, to buy on that book of business. I was thinking maybe they're just trying to buy a book of business for healthy folks in case we get back into an underwritten world and they want to sell major medical to these folks. No, it's just they just bought indemnity, and they're like, hey, we want you just to keep on going, make those commissions, have it underwritten, just business as usual. We're just going to own it. And if I'm wrong, somebody from fucking this company, contact me. You guys have my information. You know who the fuck I am. So, but when it comes down to it, the government passed the law for indemnity plans to be legal, and then United Health Group saw the writing on the wall that MAGA and the consortium and this pro-business and this troll industrial complex was, warping people's brains and, spreading misinformation. They're like, hey, if that's the way this country's going, we're going to buy up this particular business model. And, but if we had, suppressed the troll industrial complex, and if we had, voted for people like Kamala, these corporations wouldn't feel empowered to do this. They look to see what you guys are doing. And I want to take a moment to say that I am shocked that companies and elected officials look to opinions from accounts on social media that are from the troll industrial complex, paid by foreign adversaries to spread disinformation. They look to them for guidance on how to lead this country. I think that's fucking bullshit. We elected you to stand up for the people, and I expect you to do that. Don't be taking orders from foreign adversaries via this online troll, a series of troll communities that are completely fake. I've screenshotted a lot of stuff. I've tried to point this out in videos. They control the narrative. And when we see in real life, humans standing up, the trolls kind of fade. They're just online, but they are tied to nefarious groups that have, military capabilities. So I do not, underestimate these folks. They're tied to some of the worst, most deadly people on the fucking planet. And so the other day I was talking with some guy that tried to get me to, sell these types of plans, and I replied back, hey, I have to pick up the pieces when you guys sell those types of plans, because when they do hit their caps, I have to, and it's not very common because these are very, large cases, large claims, that don't happen so frequently, multi-million-dollar claims. Most big claims are like $250,000 or so or less. In this case, I'm talking about bigger claims, much bigger claims. And that's why I like the Affordable Care Act, is because it has no caps on the plan. It may be rough around the edges because these corporations are trying to detract away from it. increase in deductibles, increase in max out of pockets, and then the misinformation to all the pro-business people in red states. They don't want to contract with Obamacare, or they don't want to spend administratively to manage HMOs, and a lot of the company or a lot of the plans are HMOs, and that leads me to believe that these higher ups are making sure that they're HMOs so people don't buy in, because knowing that these doctors are going to have higher overhead and have to hire more staff to be able to administer them. So I've always been, when I'm selling original Medicare, I always try to sell a med supplement. I'm not wild about selling Medicare Advantage plans. If I have to, if that's the only option, I'm going to go ahead and, make sure I put that person on the best Medicare Advantage plan possible. But I ain't trying to sell Medicare right now. I have a Medicare specialist to handle that. But as far as under 65 goes, or small group, the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act forces these companies to cover these pre-existing conditions with no cap. So that's a good thing. And believe me, I want to go towards universal health care too, but this is what we have. This is what capitalism has to offer right now. So I'm going to put people in the best position possible based on what's available. Now, I figured this would shed a little bit of light, just showing that there's good and bad in each one of these companies. And I know that there are people at United Healthcare that care about people, because I see them, adhering to the ACA and offering products and offering customer service and offering, Spanish speaking, customer service and Spanish speaking sales. I see that they're trying to make these efforts to get to not just the English speaking, white, healthy, wealthy folks. It seems like a lot of companies just want to focus on those folks, but they want to, offer coverage to everybody. And if I'm wrong about this, then at least I'm opening it up for debate in a public forum where you guys can see comments online. You can identify who the trolls are. If anybody's in good faith asking questions, I'll respond back. But my license basically requires me to put customers and consumers first. So I'm not going to sit here and try to protect some, billionaire class that's trying to pull the wool over your eyes. And if they have enough control and power to suppress me or take away my voice, then so be it. Whether I die on a battlefield, or I die in a fucking courtroom, or whether I die in my sleep, I'm going to go out fighting against this shit. I know it's there. I know it's real. And when I see all these people talking so much shit about health insurance and United Healthcare, I don't think you guys know anything. And whenever I look at the comments, most of the situations are conflated facts, or they're half truths, or they're written by people years ago and things have changed, or people bought policies that they didn't know that they were buying. And to make it more confusing, United Healthcare sells plans that I think are not credible coverage. I refuse to sell those. I will not sell those. I know a third party came up with that, and I know United Health Group bought it, but I don't think that's United Healthcare. I think United Healthcare is the Affordable Care Act. I think United Healthcare is Medicare. I think United Healthcare is Medicaid. Until we find a way for, us to deliver benefits to people, to everybody without these corporations in the middle, I actually look to them for guidance, and they've taught me a lot, and they've put me in a position to be successful, and they've always respected me. Now, maybe not everybody at that company behind closed doors, because there's people that I've worked with that have tried to badmouth me. They've tried to slander my name. They've defamed me. They've hurt me. They've defrauded me. And I know that they have contacts to these companies. So my guess, there's a narrative somewhere with these, not so good people that, I am not a good person, and I'm not a good agent, and I'm not, good at what I do. But I know there's also another side of people that they've heard my recordings of my sales calls. They've seen me take care of customers. They've seen my accounts grow. They've seen me do the right thing. And I know that there's a whole group of people at that company that know that I'm a good agent, and I was a good manager too. So I don't think it's fair to just throw the baby out with the bathwater. And again, I'm for universal healthcare. I'm on your side, whether you guys think it or not. I want what's best for the greater population. And I understand the greater population doesn't have a ton of money. So just try to look at Blue Sky and Twitter and YouTube and Facebook and TikTok comments. Take those comments with a grain of salt. Understand that there's a troll industrial complex that is trying to manipulate and divide and persuade you, and just take a second to see where you're getting this information that's supporting the narrative that you have in your brain. I've had to deconstruct a lot. So my guess is a lot of you guys haven't. And those comments buoy whatever, ideology that you had that frankly is bullshit. Okay? So you're going to have to get over that. Like we've all been raised with a shit ideology. And they're trying to protect that, and they're trying to keep that a status quo still. And I'm trying to break through that, just like you. But I don't want to kill CEOs to do it. I don't think that happened. I think the billionaire class killed him, the CEO of United Healthcare, because I think he might be more in agreement with me than other folks that are trying to crash everything. But I could be dead wrong about that. I don't know shit about his background. I don't know shit about what he was thinking. I don't know any of the details. That was just my first gut reaction, was that he was a whistleblower and they killed him. And then they tried to, manipulate all y'all into thinking that it's some, grassroots uprising where, some guy that had his, parents, claims denied, took vengeance on it. No, that is Russian disinformation. Those bullet casings is Russian disinformation, in my opinion. They were trying to use or hijack something on the left that's calling for universal health care in a book, and they try to make it look to you all that that's what the purpose of the killing was. But they have like this fall guy that doesn't quite look like the guy that killed him, and then you can't catch him right away. That leads me to believe he had a lot of support to get out of there. And then the fall guy that they are trying to kind of blame with it, he was like smiling that day. Does that seem like somebody who was pissed off about their parents dying from medical claims not being paid? No, that guy was flirting with some girl at a hostel. Like, who goes to a fucking hostel? Like, somebody from another state or another country that, in my opinion, is nomadic and doesn't have a home. Like, nothing against that, but like, that's the type of person that I would want to be hiring to do this. Now, if it was really a person that had a home in America and their family, died, or a family member died because of denials or something like that, then fuck me. Like, I'm sorry, I will apologize. But until the truth comes out, I at least want you guys to consider that not everything is what you see. And they are absolutely trying to manipulate you guys in thinking that, you have to be a Christian nation and family is the most important thing and you can't consider anybody else, and the mighty dollar is something to be chased and everybody can be a billionaire, and, like, fuck your feelings, we don't need civil rights, and they protect, hate speech now. Like, that's what they're pushing for: misogyny, xenophobia, racism, bigotry. And then they also support economies based off grift, which is reminiscent of our past history, where we have an economy based off of, slave labor. That's how we built our country. So it just seems like they're retooling slavery. They're exploiting prison labor. And then you see people like Elon Musk, who spent $240 million to get Trump elected, and he's saying that unions are bad. It creates this, lord and servant, or whatever, serf and lord situation. That's bullshit. It's opposite day with these fuckers. Whatever they say, it's the opposite. By him taking unions away, it will create a bigger environment of lords and serfs and peasants, So just don't so easily fall for it, and like expand your horizons, learn from people. Go follow Midas Touch on YouTube. Go subscribe to Legal AF on YouTube. They'll break it down for you and they'll show you primary sources. I can't make as many videos as them. I haven't gone to law school. I haven't practiced law. I can't give you what they can. But I can give you the small morsel of information that I know from my decade of experience as being a health insurance broker. And I don't think everything is what it seems. I think that they want us to all to fight, and they are hijacking the left right now. The troll industrial complex has successfully hijacked MAGA during the course series of multiple elections over the past 10 years or 8 years. And I don't want to see them keep on doing it, like, please. I mean, it's been going on longer. They've been doing this for decades. They play the long game, and we don't understand how much influence the troll industrial complex has. So go ahead and follow Midas Touch. Keep in mind there's a troll industrial complex that's paid to distract you, to gaslight you, to manipulate you, to promote stochastic terrorism, and just stand up against it. They can't do anything. If they don't suppress this video and more people know this, they are going to be shitting their pants in a good way. Not CEOs of health insurance companies that are like, oh, we're going to get shot now. I mean, they're going to be like, oh, we're going to lose our fortunes. We're going to lose our contracts with the government. We're going to lose all these things. Like, I get it. You guys are praising the assassination of one guy based off of half-truths and misinformation. I am pleading with you to stop praising assassinations. That's not the way to go. I understand there might be a place for violence at some point. I have studied enough history, but right now we're in cyber psychological warfare and lawfare. And these corporations, these multinational corporations and billionaires are taking over our government and our economy. And they're convincing you that the left is bad because they were too woke. Meanwhile, they hijack all of our memes and our ideology and what we're saying, and they flip it on us now. So now it's the troll industrial complex's turn to hijack the left and divide the left and fuck all of us over on the left. They already brainwashed the right. Now it's time to brainwash the left. And I think this is a part of a brainwashing campaign that's been going on for decades. And I would just like you guys to be privy to it. And I think we can beat it if you guys, gals, and non-binaries just pay attention to the right things instead of just falling for any sort of flashy lure, misinformation, or piece of content that might be eye-catching. But consider the source. Consider what the subtext is. Consider what the message is that they're saying. That message usually detracts away from democracy. It detracts away from civil rights. It promotes misogyny. It promotes racism. It promotes classism. Just stick with me here, guys. I think we actually can still hold on to democracy. You see these other countries around the world, they're fucking standing up for it. Why can't we? That's what we were here for. And all you MAGA guys, get fucked, because you were all 1776. You've been fucking amped up this whole time. The trolls got you to fucking act like that. The trolls. So fucking, you want to be American? You fucking back Americans. You don't fucking back the Kremlin.